Look at the that scene in Goodfellas, one of my favorite examples. What's so funny about me? That scene when Tommy and Robert De Niro. No,
You're a funny guy.
yeah. What's so funny about me? Right. That whole thing wasn't scripted. It was like a big miser exercise going wrong. Really cool. Or going right, I should say. So, introduce yourself.
Yeah, we just met him. So I'm Brendan Major, and this is Paul Rivot, my partner.
How you guys doing?
And
I'm Peter
that's
Fox.
Peter Fox. We started a business in 2006, which is basically like a production studio where we do 3D animation, 3D animated videos, commercials, you name it, we've done it. In 2006 we started it. It didn't work out because YouTube only started in 2005. So when we went to approach people to say like, we have this great idea, we'll make an awesome commercial for you, you know, like local places, people were like, okay, where's it gonna show? And we're like, YouTube. And they're like, what's that? So that didn't work. So we were like, we gotta do something else. So we basically took time off. He studied under Pixar and Disney artists, and I went and did more marketing. And then we came back together in 2011 and we started a company called Imagimind Studios. And we do TV commercials, we are working on music videos, big time projects, and you know, Paul's going to talk a little bit more about how to get that started and what you could do if you want to make money off of, you know, being in the industry, just starting locally.
Do any of you guys have a studio, or are you guys all actors and writers?
What's the question?
Do you guys have a studio that you guys own? Are you any of you guys like in the? Because I came here under the impression that I was talking to a bunch of people that had like studios that wanted to.
I'm
You
just
know.
a mother and a cousin, but my son, he's in high school and he makes his own short films.
Oh, that's great. Getting started early. That's the best time to get started.
You
Yeah.
can always tell what side of the room the writers are on.
Yeah.
You can't always look.
Yeah.
Watches a million movies and he was
Classic.
born at the wrong time, you know, he should have been
At
back.
the right time. The technology is amazing now, so you can do stuff today that you could never do. I think everything that I was going to talk about today still applies to pretty much whatever you're doing. The first thing I wanted to kind of touch on is, first you have to identify what it is you're selling and who your competition is. So I'm going to use us as an example. We create videos. We have to know what other people are doing, what they're charging, what we're up against. If we have something like that maybe my mom and like a couple other people say is awesome, but it doesn't stack up to what people are paying for, nobody's going to pay for our stuff if it doesn't compete or better than what they're doing. Not only should you know what your competition is doing, you should know what the best stuff is in your craft. If you're a writer, you should know what the best writers are, or what you think the best writers are doing. If you're a videographer, you should know what the best videographers are doing. If you're an animator, you should know what the best animators are doing. Picasso said, what's the quote exactly? Good artists copy, but great artists steal. You have to be learning from what's already been done. Yes, you can innovate afterwards. Yes, once you know what everybody else is doing, that's when you can start to innovate. That's when you can start taking the next step. You can't just come in and think that I'm going to reinvent the wheel. You can do that, very rarely that happens, but I think to reinvent the wheel, you got to understand what's already known.
Paul, not to interrupt, but it's interesting that you mentioned that because I just read a great quote from a filmmaker whose name is Jim Jarmusch. I don't know how many of you are familiar with him, but if you go over my Facebook wall, on that exact subject of good artists create, great artists steal, he has a very expansive quote on how you should not be ashamed of doing that, because when you borrow from something that is already out there in the domain, and then you expand on it and you change it, that is an artistic process, and it's not something that you should be ashamed of, because every art does it. Every art does it. The way that it becomes unique is that you're taking your experience and you're steering it off in a different direction, which makes it what? Something that's new all over again, because all the stories are out there, but I just wanted to remind you that quote is out there. Jim Jarmusch.
No, I think you're doing great.
Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is be the solution. A lot of the times you're not going to be given the whole project. You're going to be given like a portion of it. Like let's say you guys are just like, they want you to script it, they want you to write it, but they just want you to do some special effect. Your job is to be the solution. If you want people to pay you money, you have to be the solution to their problem. If they need something, if they need a script written that's amazing for a 30-second commercial, they need to know that they're going to come to you and they're not only going to get something that's amazing, that's better than what other people are doing, they're going to want to know you do it for a fair price and you get it done in time. And that compared to what they could be getting from other people, yours has to stack up better. You have to make sure that you're always producing quality. How many of you guys have seen Pawn Stars? I'm guessing everybody?
It's a show, yeah.
Okay, so one of the main characters, anytime he needs something fixed up or refurbished or something, he has a guy he goes to. He always goes to the same people for the same things. Why? Because every single time they do a good job, they always get it done no matter what. They don't come back and be like, well, I had this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. Everybody's gonna have problems. Your job is to solve those problems. If you want clients to be working with you, they don't want to hear about your problems. They want to hear the solution. You have to be the solution. You can never give them problems. You want to be making their lives easier, not harder.
From the actor's point of view, it's a very interesting point because on some films that I've worked on, both above and below the line, does everyone know what that means? When you're above the line production, those are the guys in the office, the story analysts, executive producers and all that. People basically steering where everything's going to go. Below the line or at the line are the people that are actually working on the set, on the project itself. There are very few things that will bring a project to a screeching halt than a movie or, I guess, how can I put this? An uncooperative actor. The best way to build your reputations is when you get to the set, make sure that you connect with the director and ask them what their needs are. Let them direct you. You'll see that, I'm sure that there's a million films out there. I don't know, one of my favorites is The Player, the old movie about Hollywood, terrific movie with Tim Robbins in there. But actors who get to this set and they don't want to cooperate. Oh, they'll say the line this way, you should say the line that way. When you're dealing in the commercial world especially, you're dealing with a very specific animal. The message has to be brought out in a way that the director is basically prescribing. Because if they don't get that performance out of you that they're telling you that you should have, am I right, guys? They're not going to get a project. It's not going to fall apart. It goes right back to the example of the guy never coming back and saying, well, I couldn't complete it for this reason or that reason or that reason. The more that you can practice this, even if it's a small local commercial, when you get a reputation for knowing your lines, for getting the performance right, for being coachable, to being open, to being directed, that's something that's going to serve you well as an actor. Because the more that you can do that, the more the casting directors are going to know you, the more the production companies are going to know you. Hey, there he is. We kept him moving for you. Reno.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, good to see you.
I went through 3 car wrecks, road construction, and vacation traffic.
Oh, goodness. But just to finish this point, this is the best place, I think, to introduce Reno, who's infinitely more knowledgeable about acting. So. You guys are not done, but I'm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're gonna
I secede the
just
floor.
finish up real quick. Paul's probably got like another
It's
novel
okay.
to go.
I thought we were going on for a while.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk about too is the overall idea on any project. Some of you guys are going to be scripting projects. Some of you guys are going to be given the opportunity to do like a complete commercial yourself, so you get to come up with any idea you want. I think the most important thing on any commercial project, any project at all, is the overall idea first. You can throw as much money as you want at a bad idea and it's not going to make it good. But you could have like a $5 budget and have a great idea and it'll be amazing, it'll be great. So understanding what you're going to do before you even do it, I think is one of the most important steps. I think if you jump into something not knowing what you're doing, you're going to mess it up. You have to think out almost everything in advance. Especially a great example of that is 3D studios. They will not make anything in 3D until it's first storyboarded, then drawn out, and maybe until the next step, and then the next step, and the next step. Everything has to be thought out in advance.
Yeah, and to that point, I was going to bring up an example of some of the roadblocks we've encountered over, because people really love to hear the bad stuff more than the good stuff. Like, yeah, we did these great things and everything was great, but it wasn't like that. Things start out really badly when you're starting a business, and it's not like, it's not just a gift from God and they're like, oh, these are the holy ones, they've been chosen to start a business. It's a lot of work. And some of the points that I wanted to bring up was, like for instance, when we're going to meet new clients, like an example is a supermarket, which is it's the largest supermarket in New York City. I won't give the name. They have 200 stores. We created a commercial for one specific particular supermarket in one area And the guy said, you know what, I love your stuff, I'll give you a few $1,000 and see what you can come up with, but we won't sign a contract because we don't want to be on the hook for anything if it comes out bad. We don't want to pay you basically for it when it comes out bad. So they're expecting that, we're just going to give them what everybody else gives them. And so, we said, okay, fine, we'll take whatever you got and we'll do it. And Paul put it together. He did the directing. We got actors. We got basically all our friends and all the people we know involved in the production, from the camera guys to every aspect of the production you can have. We put together a commercial that was absolutely amazing, like something that they would have never been able to access with the budget that they were putting together. Using a 3D character in live action that was basically speaking as the brand name. And Paul put that together with music, full audio, full acting, full voiceovers. We delivered it to the client and said, okay, we finished your video, it looks amazing, here we go. The client sat there, looked at it and said, that's mine, that's my video. And we said, yeah, that's your video, so can you pay us? And he said, okay, so if I pay you for this video, you can't use this for any other store, right? And we said, well, no, not necessarily. We have the licensing rights. We're licensing it to you. We basically own the video. You're paying to use the video. And he said, so you're going to go to other stores with my video. And we said, well, it's our idea, so the video is ours. And we got into this whole battle. He brought in lawyers that took us out to dinner. We had like 4 bottles of wine, steak, the whole 9 yards. And they said, how about, that video you made, how about we have this little contract right here, it's only 1 page. We looked at the contract and it basically says, we own everything in like a cryptic, lawyer speak. It's like, the nicest way possible, but we own everything, give it to us now. We went back, and I'm not a lawyer, but like, I have some basic understanding of, what you have the right to. So we went back, we recreated the contract and said, actually, this is what we want. And they took it took 2 weeks to respond and said, I don't think we can do that. And so basically we had this great idea and the company said, why don't we meet with you about this commercial? So long and short of it, it's like a $1 billion company. If they can't make the idea in-house or they can't steal it from somebody else, they don't want to do it. So we had this great commercial that we put all our time and energy on, and we got no money out of it. We got nothing from it except a great commercial that we can use that we still own. So people see it and say, wow, that's beautiful, that's great that you created it. But unfortunately we didn't get paid for it, but we still had the great, the story that I'm telling you now about it that's, in itself an adventure.